YouTube frogs, hello. Welcome back to another video. We decided to record this right now, mainly because we are still waiting for maintenance for Inazuma to actually come out. During this period of time, I want to discuss my thoughts on the upcoming craftable weapons coming in Inazuma update. We have one for each class of weapon currently. Without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it. The first one is the Amenoma Kageuchi, which is the sword, right? After casting an elemental skill, gain 1 seed. This effect can be triggered once every 5 seconds. The seed lasts for 30 seconds. Up to 3 can exist simultaneously, and after using your Q, all the seeds will be consumed, and after 2 seconds, the character regenerates 6 energy for each seed consumed. And this is at R1, so you can see that the 6 energy is in like a cyan color, which means it'll be increased on refinement, who knows how much, right? So basically, at R1, up to 18 energy can be refunded, and it's potentially scalable with energy recharge. Well, I don't want to assume that it's going to scale with energy recharge, but it probably will be. If it is scaling with energy recharge, then it does very well with the 4P Severed Fate on applicable sword users, right? And there's no need to overcap too much ER here, since the weapon can be a big battery. So with this, I'd expect 150% recharge on this sword to be a good threshold to be able to maintain basically infinite Q uptime, even with 80 energy cost. So comparing this is a very big upgrade to the craftable sword options. We currently only have Iron Sting and Prototype Rancor, which are niche weapons only for certain characters. Iron Sting is an elemental mastery based sword, really only for Kazuha if you have him. And then Prototype Rancor is a physical damage substat sword. It's for like physical main DPS, but it can be used on like quote unquote everyone technically. But this one with the attack percent secondary stat, right, makes this the generically viable sword, and the passive improves energy recharge by a solid amount. So for all those F2P low spenders out there who don't know what sword to craft, this one coming in Inazuma is going to be a really solid one. I would recommend it if you have no other sword options for like basically every single character. So just going to explain really quickly, right? Taking a look at our current sword characters. Sub DPS Kazuha, Bennett, Kaching, Jean, Chi-Chi, Xingqiu, Traveler, and Kea all can use this sword relatively effectively. And obviously, the upcoming Ayaka. Those of you who are free to play but are guaranteeing Ayaka and don't have a sword option, this is a great one to start. Stuff that wouldn't quite work with this sword. Elemental Mastery Kazuha would still prefer the Iron Sting. Physical DPS Kea and Physical DPS Jean would still prefer more on the Rancor. Jean and Traveler can both use the Rancor and Amenoma. I would say I would prefer the Amenoma. And then Albedo is the final one. He would still prefer the 3-star Harbinger of Dawn. So that wraps up my thoughts on this sword. That should cover most of the characters that we have in the game. And I'm only comparing this sword with the other F2P craftable options, Iron Sting and Rancor. If you have other gacha weapons, I'm not going to compare because this sword is free, technically, right? All right, so let's move on to the catalyst. So this catalyst called Hakushin Ring. After the character equipped with this weapon triggers an electro-elemental reaction. Electro charge, overload, I believe swirl counts technically, and superconduct. Members who have an elemental type involved in that reaction get a 10% damage bonus. This is a pretty niche weapon. This is a mainly support catalyst, especially with the energy recharge as a secondary stat. Not only, but it's best activated by an electro catalyst. And Twitch chat, you guys know we only have one electro catalyst currently in the game, right? Who is she? That's right, Lisa. Lisa is the only current electro catalyst we have in the game so far. So she would quote unquote be the easiest user of this weapon. But still, I wouldn't really recommend crafting this, right? Just to give you guys a little bit of a talk, I hope you gamers picked up the Dodoko Tales from the previous event that just expired from the Midsummer event, right? And hopefully R5'd it from that event because that's definitely the weapon of choice for main DPS catalyst users. For support catalyst, this is the better choice among the craftables, but not by a long shot. We have Mappa Mare and we have Prototype Amber, which are both Mappa Mare is really only used for Sucrose. So if you have the Favonius Codex, though, that would be better team utility in most situations. So for the current catalyst users that we have, Klee, Yanfei, and Ningguang are not worth because Dodoko Tales would be the choice. Lisa and Mona are usable if looking to buff Electro and Hydro and an Electrocharge reaction comp. Sucrose is not worth, better scaling with Mappa Mare. Barbara is fine for this weapon, but I mean, you might as well use the 3-star weapon. With that being said, the craftable options for catalysts are still pretty limited and specific. There's no universal option yet for general catalysts, so I really hope you picked up Dodoko Tails. Let's move on to the Hamayumi, the bow. Okay, so you guys can see that the bow has a very short description. Increases normal damage by 16% and charge attack damage by 12%. This is at R1. When that character's energy is at 100%, this effect is double. So it'll be 32% and 24%. And the passive is a 55.1% secondary stat with the base stat 41 at level 1, 454 at level 90, right? So this passive is pretty good, in my opinion. It buffs both normal and charge attack damage, right? While also having an attack percent secondary stat, so it can be used on basically anyone. As a cherry on top, if you have max energy, the effects are doubled. So if we compare with the other craftable bow options, right? We have compound bow, only minorly better for physical DPS official. So compound bow, I would not recommend crafting anymore. Prototype Crescent. Prototype Crescent has a stronger buff, right? It's 36%, I believe, at R1, but it requires a weak point shot to activate, and some enemies in the game don't have a weak point shot. So that's a fault, right? So Hamayumi is the best of both worlds and can be used interchangeably with any DPS bow character, whether you're doing a physical DPS official or you're using Freeze Ganyu or Melt Ganyu, both are fine. This bow, I think, is the next staple. For our bow characters that we have, this is useful on Ganyu, Tartak, Fischl, and Amber. I think we don't have that many bow users. That's basically all the DPS ones, right? Diona still prefers energy recharge bow like Favonius or Sacrificial. And Venti, I would still choose Stringless if you have it. I would definitely value Favonius bow over this bow for Venti because he relies more on his Q uptime than his actual auto attacks. With that all being said, if you had to choose a bow to craft, it would definitely be this upcoming Inazuma bow, for sure. Oh, and also, yes, sorry, I forgot to mention, for Yoimiya coming out, this will be a great bow for her. Moving on to the Claymore. Katsuragi Kiri Nagamasa. That name is a handful. So this increases your E damage by 6%. When your elemental skill hits an opponent, the character loses 3 energy, but regenerates 3 energy every 2 seconds for the next 6 seconds. So basically triples your energy gain while sacrificing that initial amount, right? So 3 energy loss at R1, but you gain 9 over the next 6 seconds. So this effect has a cooldown of 10 seconds and can be triggered even when the character's not on the field. So this is a support-based Claymore, right? And it's really different than the other craftable options that we have. We have Prototype Archaic and White Blind. Those are our other 2 options currently. Those both are... Prototype Archaic is a DPS focused weapon, and White Blind is a very unique weapon that's only really used on Noelle and Xinyan. This Claymore is definitely unique in its energy recharge. It's more supporty. So F2P low spender, I would avoid this on any of the main DPS ones. Eula, Razor, Xinyan, Diluc. I would leave this weapon for Beidou and Changyun. Noelle still uses the White Blind, okay? So we're still a couple of weeks from Sayu being released, but based on the 2.0 trailer, she looks to be supporty, so this might be an option, okay? So that's the Claymore. Chat, I know it's out. Let me finish this so match. Let me finish this. We're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done. YouTube, you guys can see my Twitch chat is going crazy because it's out, so I'll get right. I'm gonna finish this first. All right, so last weapon to discuss is the upcoming free polearm. All right, this is the Ketane Cross Spear. Increases E damage by 6% after elemental skill hits an opponent. It's the same exact passive as the Claymore, and it can proc off field. This weapon is a pretty niche weapon. It's only maximized by Xiangling. It's like a weaker but more energy focused Dragon's Bane, right? So Rosaria can also potentially use this as a reverse melt, but it's a little harder to justify over the Star Glitter. And as an F2P low spender, I would say avoid this on Zhongli, Xiao, and Hu Tao. Well, I think that really covers most of the stuff. The polearm is pretty niche. I think that covers all of the weapons coming to Inazuma, and it looks like the sword category got the largest buff, especially with the previous options being pretty restricted on the usage, right? Sword and the bow are universal damage weapons. Catalyst and Claymore are recharge based weapons, and the spear is a recharge based Dragon's Bane. So if you gamers enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribing to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Good luck on your future polls if you're polling for Inazuma, and have fun exploring. Thanks for watching. We'll see you gamers on the next one. Take care. All right, time for me to go to Inazuma.